Hi, what on earth is this then you've got to buy to fix it? Well, it's a device called a Lightwriter, and it's designed for disabled people who can't communicate to be able to type, and it does text to speech pretty much. So I saw this on eBay for spares or repair, and I thought I might make an interesting repair video. On the display on the listing, it just had a couple of machine code registers and some hex digits after it. So it came with a power supply here, which has got the green light on. So let's just plug it in and we'll see what it does. And the answer is not a lot. On the listing, it had some display of machine code. It doesn't seem to be doing that now. It does appear to be making a slight humming from it. So 9 volts DC, 800 milliamps. And this power supply here that they've sent is 12 volt and 2 amps. So that's not very good. Let's try a 9 volt power supply then. So I've got the bench power supply set to 9 volts and current limited to 800 milliamps. And it still doesn't appear to be doing anything. You do get a slight click when you plug the power in. Well, that's about it. Right, let's take it apart and we'll see if we can figure out what's up with this. So this was invented by a guy called Toby Churchill, who ended up, I think he got an infection when swimming in a lake in France and lost the ability to communicate. So this model was manufactured from 1994 until around 2008, I think. And I think it's got a voice similar to Stephen Hawking's. So this one was apparently built by Sue in 1996. So I guess that's the text-to-speech chip. Let's just zoom down a bit and we'll get a closer look. So it looks like we've got an EEPROM there. So that probably stores the speech and the operating system for it to run. We seem to have a splattering of logic chips. I guess that's the RAM. This will here be the CPU. Looks like we've got a serial EEPROM there that's in a socket. And possibly another serial EEPROM down here. We have a little power supply here. That'll be a little inverter for the vacuum fluorescent display, which is a dot matrix type. And I think that looks about it. Possibly audio amplifier. And probably communications port. So I'm not sure where the voltage regulation is, unless that's the voltage regulator there, on this little subboard here. So what I might do is get the test meter and we'll just see what voltages we get on some of these ICs, see if we get 5 volts for a start. .1, 4.2. Well, the voltage seems to be rising slowly. Just wondering if there's a short or something. switch it off again a sec. Now this has got a built-in battery pack as well. This looks a bit rough and ready. Looks like there's some component in there as well, in amongst the battery pack. I'm not sure what that is. Let's just see what's actually in this battery pack, if anything. Got 1.8 volts and it's dropping. So I wonder if the battery pack is pulling the voltage down. Oh. I was sort of fright there. Well, that just made a random noise. But it's still not doing anything. That made us jump at. Well, we're up to 4.9 volts now. I just wonder if it's worth getting the thermal camera out. I'm just wondering if something's heating up. Maybe like a capacitor or something. I'm just going to grab the thermal camera. Right, back with the thermal camera. I'll just zoom back down a little bit. Well, the main IC is getting a little bit warm, 30 degrees or so. That regulator's getting a bit hot, 51 degrees. The speech chip, I mean that regulator's there, I mean, it doesn't feel overly hot, but I just wonder if the power supply has damaged any of these ICs. Well, I've just done a quick search on the internet and this is the voltage regulator. This is an L200C. I think it said pin 2 was the output, but when I measure at the ground here, I'm getting about 6.1 volts, but when I measure across the ICs themselves, I'm getting about 5.3. So, sounds like there's a little bit charging the battery there now, which is rapidly dropping. So I suspect the batteries are probably past their sell-by date. I'm still not sure why it's not working. I'm just wondering if it's worth reseating some of these chips. Just in case we've got a bad connection. You never know. Let's get a smaller screwdriver in there. It might be worth cleaning the legs. I mean, they don't look that bad. I'm just going to get a bit of paper and some contact cleaner. I'll just give these legs a clean. Well, I've just given them a bit of a clean. There's another IC under there, hiding away. And that is a 74HC32 hidden under the chip. Let's do the same with this RAM IC. It was just with it having registers. I'm just wondering whether there was some kind of RAM error or something on it. This one's got some, looks like pull-up resistors soldered to the lower pins there for some reason. Right, I've given that a clean. I'm just going to put a bit of contact cleaner on the socket there. We'll put this one back in. Let's see if that does anything. Let's plug the power back in. And it appears not. Oh. Well, we've got something going on there. I don't know whether that's right or not. Now look, I've just noticed there. New batteries, January 2017. So I think those batteries will definitely need changed. But it does appear to be doing something there now. Oh. Well, it came up something about memory error there. Well, I've got no idea how we operate this thing. Factory reset.
FF.
Oh. Well, it just appears to have died again. I don't know what's going on with the display there, that seems to be flickering. I don't think it should be doing that. It definitely seems... Well, I've just pressed W there and E, and it seems to be shown on this display here, but not on that one. So there's definitely some kind of problems with this. So in light of the batteries being from 2017, I might see if I can change the batteries first and then see if that makes any difference. It's got a low battery indicator there. Let's see how these batteries come out. I'm just going to desolder the wires first, I think. So I think these will be NiCads probably. Not there, stuck in with, but it's good stuff. I thought it was Velcro at first, but it's not. It's like some kind of sticky pad type thing. I wonder if I can get that off and reuse it, because it seems quite good stuff. Let's have a look at these batteries. That must be a fuse or something, I think. So it just looks like 4 tabbed AA nickel metal hydride cells. I thought there would have been NiCads or something, but nickel metal hydride. Right, I'll see what batteries I've got. So I don't have any cells with tabs on, so I thought I'd try this little spot welder thing that I got from AliExpress ages ago. I've not really used it much, but I thought it might come in handy for this. So something like that. So I might put some hot glue on those, glue those together, and then put that bit on the end. Right, that's the new battery pack completed. I've put the thermal fuse back in there. I've just used the little spot welder just to weld it back onto there. And I've also spot welded a couple of tabs on here that we can solder to. I'm just going to tin those first. And then just solder the wires on. Right, well, it seems to be powered up. I think I'm going to put some tape just around these wires at the top here. So I'm going to get this case back together. I don't know why the display seems to be a bit wrong. I wonder if there's some IC or something not working right on the display. Now it's set to do a factory reset. Hold the off key for 15 to 20 seconds. Release and then wait, and the system will take about a minute to rebuild itself. I'm just wondering why the display doesn't seem to be right. It seems to be all over the place. Because I would have thought that should be counting up instead of it scrolling along or something, maybe. I mean, I've never seen one of these operate before, so I'm not 100% sure. But to me, that's what it should be doing. Not just a little flicker like that. So I mean, I've pressed a key there, I've pressed E, it's displaying on here, but it's not displaying on the display here. So there must be something wrong with this display, I think, or the chip that controls it. So this might have multiple problems. Well, I've just removed the main board here, which is just held in by that nut just there. So I've undone that. And there's another IC under here in a socket. I'm not sure what that one's for. Looks like some kind of firmware. That looks like the actual driver for the vacuum fluorescent display. We have 3 of the logic chips here, and this is the data cable. So what I might do is just try reseating this IC here, and we'll see if that makes any difference. And if that doesn't, we'll just put a bit of switch cleaner on this as well, and then if that doesn't do anything different, we might get this under the microscope just to have a look to see if there's any bad connections on any of these ICs here. I guess this is some kind of pick chip or something. I'm just going to give the socket a quick squirt with switch cleaner and just try reseating that. I'm going to do the same with these connections here. Looks like the power switch and the power connection is just held in place with a bit of hot glue. Same with the LED here. It seems this jumper here disconnects the battery. Let's just see if that's made any difference at all. It doesn't seem to be wanting to do anything now. We've just got a cursor there and that's it. That's better. Restarting. Just going to try holding the off button again. No, I don't seem to have anything on that display. Just check I've got that IC in right and we haven't got any legs missing or anything. Just in case any of them came out of the socket and I haven't realised. They actually all look okay. Nope, none of them's bent or anything. Let's try that again. I don't know why we've got nothing on this display now. No. Yeah, let's type it on this one. But we have nothing at all in that display now. I wonder if it's this ribbon cable or something then. I know that end pin there doesn't look, or looks slightly different from the rest of them. I might have to try and check the continuity or something. It might have something to do with this cable. I've just removed the display, and what I'm going to do is just check the continuity on this ribbon cable here, just in case one of the connections isn't making connection properly. So I'm just going to go on each pin on the connector and onto the PCB here. It's a little bit tricky to see. So I wasn't sure if I was on that one properly. Yep, so all of those seem okay. I mean, it could be when the cable's bent down or I'm not so sure. So I might get this under the microscope next and we'll just have a look over this board just to see if there's any bad connections. Right, I've got it under the microscope. I think these are the chips that come from the data side. I mean, it looks like it the way they've got the wires and that going over to here. Maybe worth just going over those just in case. I think it's interesting how they've used a through-hole chip to a surface mount socket. Running at 4 megahertz by the look of it. This is just the HT side here, so I'm just going to spin this around. I mean, it might be worth touching up some of those pins. It looks like those ones aren't used across the top. So I might just run the iron over those just in any case. It's not going to do any harm, is it? I'm just going to add a little bit of flux first. Do this top one, and I think that'll do. And then I'll have a look at the main IC. I'll get that bit in a minute, and that one. Right, just a bit more flux on this side. Again, I'll get that one in a sec. Might have to use a bit of wick on that. I'll just try taking some salt off my iron and we'll try that again. There we go. Right, so I'll give that a little bit of a clean up. I don't know if that's made any difference or not. It may not have. But it's worth a try. Right, I'll pop that back in and we'll see if that's made any difference. So I've been having a bit mess around with this, and I was trying to figure out if there's a way I could test to see if the fault was on the display or on the main board. And I was thinking, I haven't got another display to test with. But actually I have, because the LCD and the vacuum fluorescent display both share the same type of connector. So I thought, I wonder what happens if I plug the LCD into where the vacuum fluorescent display was, and see what happens. So I'll just connect the power to it again. And it says restarting. Self-test. And if you notice now, instead of the checksum being all over the place, it's actually staying in the same place and it's counting up correctly. So that's what it's supposed to do on the vacuum fluorescent display. So that means the board's outputting the correct signals, and the problem's with the display itself. I actually used the meter and I checked that pin 1, and it actually goes to pin 1 on this connector as well, that this display is plugged in, and pin 2 goes to pin 2. There's only one line that's different, and I figured that must be the display select. So the problem seems to be with the display itself. So I'm going to have to have another look at that. So I thought I'd try removing and testing the logic ICs, because my EEPROM programmer can actually test them. It's got a feature where you can actually test logic ICs to see if they're actually functioning correctly. And all of them seem to pass fine. So I'm at a bit of a loss what to do with this now. Well, it's been a couple of weeks since I last looked at this. As some of you may know, my wife had a bit of an unfortunate horse riding accident, so my time's been a little bit limited lately. And I'd just like to say a big thanks to the Buy It Fix It community for all of the support and lovely messages, regarding my wife after she's had a horse riding accident. We actually took her for an X-ray just the other day, so I thought I'd bring that up on the screen there. You can see the hardware that's been fitted into her leg, and it looks like she's been to the B&Q hardware section. So what I've done with this so far is I've tried resoldering those ICs, which didn't make any difference. I've resoldered the main IC here. I've checked all of the resistors. I've checked the continuity from this plug to here. But then I thought, well, perhaps one of the gates has gone a bit weak on one of these ICs or something. I mean, I did test them with my EEPROM programmer, but they seem to check out okay. So I've actually replaced all three of them. And the PIC microcontroller here wasn't actually read protected, so I managed to read that, and I've programmed a new one here. So I'm going to swap the IC over, and I've already swapped these three over, and then we'll see if that makes any difference. Right, let's plug the display in. Let's see what it does now. And we've still got the cursor flashing there. That doesn't seem to be quite right. I'll just try typing a character or two. So replacing those 4 chips doesn't seem to have done anything. So I'm kind of at a bit of a loss at this now. I mean, I've even checked the crystal with the scope here, and it's providing a nice and stable 4 megahertz clock, because I was thinking, is it some kind of timing problem between the CPU board and the display controller? But that doesn't seem to be the case. I'm kind of leaning a bit more towards a software problem now, like some kind of configuration or something. I think I'm going to have a look at the manual to see if there's anything about setting up the display or something, because I'm sure I read something about setting up displays, but I think they were external displays that go on the external port here. In the manual, it mentions there's 3 different levels of setup. We've got user setup, which is this one here, which is mem replay. Then we've got advanced setup, and we've also got expert setup. So remember seeing about port and vacuum fluorescent displays. That was these here. So I've noticed here under displays, we've got select the language, we've got select upper and lower case, we've got something here for automatic smart text or something here. And we've also got select the VFD display brightness, automatic for power saving. This setup is available if VFD is fitted. So let's go into this setup and we'll have a look to see exactly if that setup is available. So let's go into expert setup, and to do that you can type expert, then mem. Right, so we're in expert setups now, and I think space selects them. Right, so we've got language English, case upper, text normal, and then it goes straight onto keyboard. We should have the vacuum fluorescent display option there for controlling the brightness, but that one's not being shown. So it thinks that the VFD isn't fitted and it's defaulting to the liquid crystal display. But I couldn't see any configuration set up to tell it which display to use. So I'm going to have a think on this one just to see what we can come up with. I might try dumping the EEPROM and the EEPROM that holds the software program, and we'll see if that gives us any clues. So I've put the little EEPROM into the programmer here. So let's jump over to the laptop screen. And I've already got it selected here. Let's just hit read. So it looks like we've got a block of data at the start of the IC here. Then we've got a block of FFs, which is empty. And it looks like we've got another block of data here. Let's just scroll down a bit more. This looks like some phrases, possibly from the previous user. Oh, big stick. What's on television? Where's Daniel today? I think that's about it. That's in the EEPROM. So this might store something like the user settings, or possibly the configuration data, and the user phrases by the look of things. Right, let's have a look at the other IC. Let's get this one out. And we'll put this one in. So this one is a 27C801. So let's read that one. And this looks blank at the beginning here. That's unusual. Unless there's something wrong with my programmer, maybe. I don't know, we've got data there. So it looks like the first block of bytes here is all blank. And the data starts at 20,000. Oh, happy birthday there. Holland anthem, Italy anthem. So it looks like it's read it correctly. Those must be some of the words that it recognises. Receiving, recently, recession, recommended. And this looks like the user interface texts. Load all setups at once. User when connected to a modem in development. Right, I'll spend a bit of time having a look through this and we'll see if that sheds any light on anything. So this is a program called Ultra Edit that I use quite a bit. It's quite an old version of it, but you can swap between hex and just normal text and things like that quite easily. But what I've noticed here is we've got setups, we've got advanced setups, which it discusses in the manual. We've also got expert setups, which it also mentions in the manual. But then here, we've got something called factory setups. So that looks quite interesting. So I wonder how we enter factory setups, and I wonder if that's got any options to select the vacuum fluorescent display. I've just noticed down here as well, we've got VFD, dim, bright and automatic, which it also mentions in the manual. So I've been having a look through the text strings and I've noticed here we've got select the scan screen, select the scan speed. That's a mode that you can use for people who can't actually type, where they can use things like switches to sort of scan across a screen of characters. We've got another one here, select keyboard layout. But then what I noticed here was select the display type for the display facing the user and select the display type for the display facing away from the user. So there indeed does look a way to select the different types of display that are being used in the device. Now I've just got to figure out how to actually access this menu. So I've loaded the file into a program called Ghidra, which is by the NSA, and what it is, it's a open source disassembler. So this is the code window on the right here of some of the functions in the program, and we've got here factory setups in text, as you can see just on this side. But the problem I've got is I can't see any references to any of these text strings in the code, so I'm not sure whether it's disassembled properly or whether they're using some kind of weird, I don't know, programming standard or something maybe. And it looked like some of the code didn't disassemble correctly as well. There was a lot of parts that had different things in that it shouldn't have and whatever, but some of the code looks okay. But unfortunately at the moment I'm no further forward. But it definitely looks like there's a software problem with this rather than a hardware problem now. So after spending quite a bit of time looking at the code and not getting very far, I thought I'd try contacting Toby Churchill, the company that makes these. And it's changed name now. I think the original inventor, Toby Churchill's retired, and it's under a different name now. However, I contacted the service department and I spoke to a guy called Paul, who was very helpful. But unfortunately, he couldn't actually help us, but he said there's another guy, who's actually his brother, called Mike, and if I called up the following day, he would be able to help. So I called Mike back, and I told him basically, what I do, and that I bought this off eBay to, try and repair. And he was very helpful, and he actually told us how to get into the factory setup. And I told him the symptoms and I had, and he says, yeah, he says, you're actually right, it's a configuration problem. So let's see if I can remember what sequence. I did write it down, so. Right, I think it was a mem, enter, shift, full stop, shift, 5, and I think it was mem. Yes. And if we notice here, we've got user display, and it's currently set to LCD. And he said if this got the little dots above the display, we need to set it to VFD3. And if these dots across the top were below the display, we've got to set it to VFD2. So we need to set this to VFD3. So I think we press the plus key. So it says there, user display VFD3. And I think we just hit that to exit it. And that looks better. And it's typing now. Right, so I think we'll put this back together now, and I think we'll wrap up. So there we go, it's all back together now. Let's just switch it on, and we'll just give it a test. And in case you are wondering, yes, you can make it swear like a pirate, because I've already done that before. So,
subscribe, and thanks for watching.
So there we go. Right then, if you enjoyed this video, please give it the thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, please subscribe. Any comments or questions, please leave it in the comment section below. And as always, have a great day. Thanks for watching.